this video, we're going to be analyzing 3,000 data science job postings. Why do we want to do that? We want to know how the data science job market looks right now. We want to know what is the most in demand skills or requirements to get a data science job right now. What kind of tech stack is needed, the experience level. We want to know what kind of educational criteria does a BSc basically qualify you, or do you need something as advanced as a PhD? And we also want to know what is the best location so far. And lastly, at the end of the video, we also want to sort of understand what is the salary of an entry-level data science job posting right now. What is the average salary? Follow me. So first, I am going to write a script to script data science job postings on LinkedIn. I wrote the script. I used it for an earlier video as well to get for data analyst jobs, and now I'm going to use the same script for a data science job. I'm going to set titles: data scientist, junior data scientist, product analyst. I sort of feel like that's very close to a data science job, so I added that as well. Senior data scientist, applied scientist, lead data scientist, analytics lead, head of data science. So basically every title that sort of has a data science connotation behind it, or gives the impression that this is a data science job, is what I'm asking it to get for me. I've also specified some locations. Specifically, I'm looking at 5 countries where my channel is watched the most. So Germany, the United Kingdom, Nigeria, United States, and India. And so I've also specified some cities, which you see here: Berlin, which is also a city in Germany where I live, Hamburg, Lagos, Frankfurt in Germany, India, and okay, yeah, basically that. And I wrote this function to get all of the title, the company, the location. We need the titles to be able to know if it's an entry-level role, or a mid-level role, or senior level role. And also we are trying to get a link for the job as well. We also want to then get more descriptions about the job. What kind of tech stack is needed? What kind of requirements do they need? What would you be doing on the job? And I basically used this second function to get that. Got the query. It took some minutes to run. As you can see here, we are about 2,877, so about 3,000 job titles. In my previous video, I did a lot more data analyst jobs, but then I think that some of them lacked some of the details, so I sort of redefined it and tried to make the number less, but better quality over quantity. You know what they say, quality over quantity. So sort of save the job, and as you can see, this is how the data frame looks like now. This is a position from a company, associate data scientist at IBM Berlin. This is the link to the job, and you see here the description of the position. This code is about giving people the power to create space, blah blah blah. And you will see also, so just one that I'm showing right now, because it's a lot if I want to show everything, but you see how it looks like. Basically, I saved that and I did some cleaning, because when I script, scripting is sort of like an Aki method to do things. So sort of try to remove some taglines in the HTML, and that's what I did by cleaning this up gradually. So of course now I can sit down and start to write the code to do this, but there's a faster way: ChatGPT. So that's what I'm going to use to sort of go through this analysis. And let's take this away, and you see my query, my query to ChatGPT. I have uploaded a CSV file containing data scientist job roles. Please perform a detailed analysis to answer each question. I want to know, first of all, what is the most in demand skills or requirements, tech stack, experience. I sort of want to know how the variations, which one is more in demand now, junior, mid-level, senior roles. And of course, you saw in the previously that we could get the titles. From the titles we can know if this is a senior role, a junior role, a mid-level role. And ChatGPT has done a good job to analyze all of this for us, but I'm not going to read through all of those details. I'm going to go straight to the result of our analysis. So the first thing we want to know is the most in-demand skills, a requirement for a data scientist. And you see here it says Python is specifically mentioned. So Python is one thing that you see them talk about a lot, and this is why we say that Python is one basic thing you want to learn if you want to work in companies. I think in academia they would ask you for R, but for many of the jobs that we scraped, about 3,000 of them, Python is largely in demand. Excel also appears, indicating the value of spreadsheet skills, which is quite interesting actually. I think a lot of my friends, when I see them learn who don't have Python backgrounds, they start from Excel. And doing that really helps you a lot with understanding, especially if you want to be an analyst. It really helps you to understand how things work, how numbers add up, how spreadsheets work, and also can give you a visual representation of things when you work with databases and build graphs. So that's also interesting to see that a lot of data science job also talks about Excel. And then you see a lot of things that has been talked about recently, which is to show you that the data science field is sort of constantly evolving. You see, this is machine learning and artificial intelligence. I would say the last 5 years, maybe this would not be, AI would not be prominent. Machine learning, of course, you need to understand scikit-learn, understand basic libraries like linear regression, gradient boosted trees, SVMs, and the like. So basic machine learning algorithms like that is sort of in demand. AI, I think they are talking more about LLMs, and this has become a new thing because companies are trying to go in that direction, and it's becoming a requirement for you to get a job to understand AI, LLMs, and the like. So I would say definitely, if you think about building a project, if you build a project in this direction, you probably have a little bit of advantage than someone who builds a basic machine learning algorithm. Interesting to also see that data engineering is talked about a lot. It also begins to show that a lot of startups, which I presume a lot of the jobs that we've scraped come from, will ask you to sort of they want you to wear many hats, and so basically be able to set up maybe like a simple ETL pipeline, or connect to an API, or get the data into a database. Sort of, maybe you are not going to be a data engineer, but understand what happens basically in that space. I think, for one, I am interested in data engineering a lot. In fact, I took a sort of course in data engineering, and that has really helped me in my current position, because we also have to set up all of these pipelines as well, because we don't have a data engineer in my team. And so all of the setting up that we have to do, we have a central data engineering team in the company, but if we need something to be done faster and quicker, we sort of have to set it up ourselves. So, and that really helps. And I think a lot of companies are going in that direction as well. They sort of want to they want a data scientist that understands that space and can do basic stuff without having to reach out to the data engineering team every time. So that's a good thing to know. And thankfully we are also doing this analysis, and I hope this communicates the message to everyone watching this. So now let's talk about the tech stack. Python has been talked about a lot. So previously we talked about the skills and requirements. The tech stack with Python is big, and the other one is SQL. I have a lot of videos where I talked about how to learn SQL. I also talked about in the previous video 5 tips where on how I develop my SQL skills. You can check that out as well. Python and SQL is like key. If you're trying to become a data scientist or you're trying to get into the field, Python and SQL is definitely important for you to learn. Alongside that, I'm beginning to also see that there's a lot of demand for, as you can see now, for cloud infrastructure, understanding cloud infrastructure like AWS, Azure, or GCP. In my previous company, we were doing more with Azure. In my new company, we're doing more with GCP. I think if you understand one, you can sort of transfer your knowledge to the other, because some of the requirements are, some of the technologies are the same. Like what is like a bucket here is probably called another name there, and infrastructure is somewhat similar. If you can operate with one, you can operate with the other. But it's always good that you understand cloud technologies, because largely a lot of times your company would be doing something in the cloud, and you need to be able to interact with that for you to have an headway on top what you're doing. So it's not just enough to know Python, to know scikit-learn and all of those pandas, numpy libraries. You need to understand cloud technologies as well. So cloud technologies is really in demand. It said a lot. It did not show up in this specific data analysis, okay, but then this is also ChatGPT sort of adding its own understanding to this. But I think this is very important. Python's prominence is consistent with its widespread use in data science for data analysis, machine learning, and data engineering tasks, which is quite nice. So let's talk about experience. Which kind of roles are more in demand in these 3,000 data science roles that we have scraped? Senior positions, and this is quite nice. I think that a lot of times companies want people who have experience. A lot of companies are not patient to hire like junior roles or entry level roles. They want more senior roles because maybe they don't want to hire so much. I think as a junior person, I would say don't give up. It should just sort of steer you up to say, okay, I'm going to get in and I'm going to become a senior and I'm going to become more in demand. One interesting thing that happened when I got my job, when I got into my first job, was I had a lot of recruiters writing me, hey, do you want to change your jobs? And I was like, where were you guys when I was trying to get my first role? So if you're trying to get your first role, don't give up. I have a previous video where I made talked about 6 mistakes you should avoid if you're trying to get your first data role. You can check it out. I think it should be yeah, and see. Hopefully, now when I hire people, I lead a team and I hire people. I'm on the other side of the hiring board, and I see the mistakes that people make, and I'm like, I most likely have made these mistakes, and that's why I made that video. So check it out if you want to also make sure that you don't avoid those mistakes. Talking about experience, I think it's not unusual that a lot of the positions we saw now are senior positions and leadership positions. I think because it's sort of in demand and companies are probably trying to hire less and less and less, and so they most likely want to hire not just junior people, junior roles, but they want to hire senior roles. But that doesn't mean that there is not junior roles out there. I just think that these two positions are sort of maybe more prominent. In my first role, actually, they sort of wanted a senior person, but when I came in, I had a mathematics background. I had done a data boot camp. I showed them the project that I worked in. They actually hired me, and so it also really shows that if you know how to play your cards right, and you can show your strength and show what you can do, build projects. I really talk about that a lot. You most likely will get a chance. I think what companies are trying to avoid is the situation where you get in and they have to spend a lot of time to sort of get you on your feet. But if you prove that you can stand and you don't need so much support, even though you don't have so much experience, I think you would be fine. I stand to be corrected. If you have a different opinion, put it in the comments. I'll be very happy to chat with you about it. Okay, now let's talk about educational criteria. So an undergraduate degree, BSc, indicates that an undergraduate degree may be sufficient for some roles. STEM field, STEM is a word that is mentioned a lot, suggesting that a background in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is beneficial. I think this is quite understandable as well. So the data science field I would say is relatively new, and usually what I've seen is a lot of HR people probably don't even know what it is all about. So basically when they write the job requirement, they just copy and paste, or they just make up the most difficult thing that sort of assures them that the person is definitely going to be a data scientist and be good at the job. Sort of a risk to make sure they don't hire the wrong person. But I understand the fact that everybody uses the word STEM, but it doesn't mean, even if you studied biology, I have had friends who don't have anything, who had no mathematics background or statistics background or computer science background, and are doing extremely well as a data scientist. And really, I wouldn't say having a mathematics background is sort of what brought me to where I am today. I think a lot of the things I still had to learn outside of the degree that I had. So it wouldn't matter as much, but of course if you have a STEM background, you have an advantage, and you have to just be sincere about that. It also doesn't matter that you have a PhD. You don't need to be the most sophisticated person. Just a BSc is fine from all the jobs we've seen, and I hope that this encourages someone to just apply there. I made a plot. I also asked ChatGPT to make a plot for us, and you see out of the occurrences in the jobs, this is actually maybe not right. The numbers are not right because it's supposed to be 3,000. But anyways, we get the idea. We had this R, and I think this is basically because it counts the word R a lot of times in the skills and technology. So I thought to remove it, and if you see how the plot looks like now, it looks like this. AI is something that is mentioned a lot: Excel, Python, machine learning, and data engineering. Experience levels, we've talked about that, and also STEM and BSc, we've also talked about that. I hope we've answered all the questions. Unfortunately, this time we couldn't get anything about the best locations to actually get a data role. Let us see. Yeah, we couldn't get anything about location, but what we can get, of course, is to look at Glassdoor. This is one place where I go to sort of check out for what is that about salaries. So for example, in Germany, we could go to Gialta and just search for data scientist jobs. Data scientist, this is not right, data scientist jobs, and let us look at Germany. I always encourage people to check websites like this so that you sort of have an idea of, if you're trying to get into a role, how much are they paying you, how much should you earn, and all of this kind of things, so that they don't underpay you. And it's really important that you actually negotiate your salary very well, because if you don't, I found that if you get into a role and you don't negotiate your salary very well, you would not be happy. It's not good for you, it's not good for the company. At the end of the day, it's a mess. So this is a good place to actually check out for your salary. So 60,000 euros to 75,000 euros is what a data scientist in Germany, for example, would earn. I think this is more for a mid-level position, kind of, because when you say data scientist, it reads the mid-level positions. I also see, and this is also good, because you also see companies that pay a lot more than companies that pay less. So if you want more money, for example, as a data scientist, a good place to work would be delivery role, according to this chart. A not so nice place to work would be Trivago, because you get 59,000, and your colleague who is doing the same thing as you, and in delivery will be earning a lot more than you, about 16,000 euros. So this might be a good place to also know if you get an offer from a company, do you want to go there or not. This was my previous company. They also pay fine, maybe not as much as a place like Deliveroo, which is also good. You see Mercedes-Benz Group pays about 76,000 euros for a data scientist, Deutsche Bank 61, Bosch 79, SAP even way less, Deutsche Bank 60,000. So this is always, for example, free now 63,000. So this is always a good place to check. I know when people want to get their first data role, they don't even bother checking the salary, because they just want to get a job. But maybe we check also for junior data science positions, and we check also Germany. I'm just being biased towards Germany because I am in Germany. So you see, for junior data science, you earn between 45,000 and 55,400. I think that's somewhat fair, and they've gotten this data from 165 people and data points, and they also show you also the companies. I think generally Deliveroo pays a lot more. So these are, of course, real data point. People who actually come for example, for me to be able to use this, I had to answer some questions, I had to give some data. So some people have actually come here to say this is how much I earn in an anonymous way. So I think generally you can trust the numbers that we see here. So we see what the market looks like right now for a data science position. You need to understand basic machine learning. AI is also now in demand. I would say LLMs, knowing how to build LLM apps, and you can basically read all of this online. It's not just enough to sort of understand just machine learning basics, again, algorithms, linear regression. Those are important, because really, in my opinion, a lot of companies will say that they do AI are basically doing basic machine learning. I stand to be corrected, disclaimer. But anyways, so that's one thing to also add to it. We also saw that a lot of roles that are in demand now are senior level roles, but if you can prove yourself with projects, you most likely will have a shot at this. I would say apply anyways. We also saw that STEM fields are of course favored more. If you have a bachelor's, you can do well in many roles right now. Additional insight that we found was also about Python and SQL being in demand. I think we sort of knew that about you. We sort of know about that already. So if you're trying to get into data science right now, Python and SQL should be two languages you're really trying to master. If you're going to academia or some other companies, maybe you need to learn R, but Python and SQL, it would get you into a lot of jobs already. So those two languages should be something you're trying to get yourself to be better at. I hope that this video was helpful for you. If it was, don't forget to subscribe and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.